Once again, welcome back to this channel. Of course, I don't do introduction like that, but of course I'm doing these little videos, these little pop-ins, as a few of my people call it, to kind of educate people on the difference between mental illness and spiritual inclination. Now, of course, there's a big difference. And unfortunately, in the past 5 to 6 years, something happened in 2017, as I talked about before. I'm going to do a video on that another time. But something happened in 2017 where things kind of split up and a lot of brainwashing started happening in the spiritual community and the politics and all of this good stuff. And like I said, I'll do a video on that to kind of explain what happened energetically, spiritually, going into gatekeepers and all that good stuff. So either, as we talked about before, there's a lot of things that are shifting, that are going on celestially. Right now, we're dealing with the realms of the gods and goddesses. That's why everybody wants to be obsessed with being called a king, a queen, a god, a goddess, whatever. So I'm going to actually talk about some things right now that everyone's been talking about. I've even had some clients that reach out to me and ask me questions about this, as well as they assume they're in the fourth and fifth dimension because there's these quack videos out there, experimentational videos out there, people saying that they're operating from the fourth and fifth dimension. And I just want to let you know, if anybody is claiming to be operating from the fourth and fifth dimension, but they're still on YouTube and they're still asking for money and they're saying they don't deal with this people, that people, they're disconnecting themselves from the higher consciousness, which is unity. Right? I told you, going into the fourth and fifth dimension, we're dealing with unity. We're dealing with clearing up our trauma, letting things go, right? Taking things from under, right? Because we believe that so above, so below in spirituality. So, of course, the head, the brain is at the top, right? Let's just break this down really quickly. The brain is at the top of the body, but the heart is in the center of the body, right? Or we'll say mid-upper. But in reality, it's actually flipped upside down, where the heart is actually the head of the body. The heart is actually the space and the place that moves us, that allows us to connect with others and or dislike others. So in the fourth dimension, like I said, we're working on releasing and connecting with our higher self, right? And then working with the head space, working with the higher self. That's where we see unity. We see people based on the energy they present. We don't care about whether or not they're lesbian, if they're gay, if they're black, if they're Christian, if they're Jewish. We are coming into our space. We're coming into our crowning, okay? And we are acknowledging who we are, and we're seeing those on the outside of us as a reflection of who we are. Our friendships will reflect that. Our relationships will reflect that. Our business will reflect that. The house we live in will reflect that. Everything we do will reflect exactly what is going on in the inside. And that's what we're dealing with here. So I just want to break this down and give you some scientific evidence of what the fourth dimension is. And then, of course, give you my spiritual interpretation of what the fourth and fifth dimension is. As I said before, these quack spiritualists are out here talking about. Once again, while I don't associate myself with a lot of these spiritual people, I sit back. I'm a very good judgment of character. I sit back and I watch and I observe. That's what I do. But I watch people act a fool and act like they're that girl or they're that boy. Okay? So let's get into it really quickly. So it says right here that the fourth dimension is a mathematical extension of the concept of the three-dimensional or 3D space. Okay? It's basically saying that the fourth dimension is still the third dimension, but it is a mathematical extension, which means that people are still rooted in the third dimension, but they're operating in the fourth if they're claiming to be that. So when these people be like, I'm in the fourth and fifth dimension and you guys still in third dimension, I feel sorry for you. Right there, that would tell you right there that these people are fake, they're fraudulent, they're phony, they're making shit up. And two things, they're probably either high on some type of drugs or they really have some type of mental illness. And once again, I'm not here to judge anybody for what it is and who it is that they are. You are who you are. This is your story. This is what you live out. But don't be projecting your mental illness and your trauma onto other people. And that's my really big issue with a lot of these spiritual people. Is that what they do? They project, their inner demons, their inner challenges on others. And it's like, oh, you the same as me because blah, blah, blah. No, we're not. Okay. And then going into even here, as we look through all of this, they said there's no such thing as the fourth dimension. The problem is that our characteristics we can measure in 2 and 3 dimensional objects, but there's no dimensions per se. So that means that still the fourth dimension and fifth dimension is an extension of the third dimension. And we still operate in the third dimension while we're in these spaces. Now, of course, I did pull other things up. And of course, this give an example of what the fourth dimension is. I actually saw something, and it could be right here. Oh, let me go down. So as you can see right here on Google, it's showing that what you would look like in the fourth dimension. So now you can clearly see in this video screenshot that the feet look normal. There's only 5 feet there, right? Toes there. Okay. But if you look at where it says in the fourth dimension, you'll basically be seeing 3 rows of 5 toes. Okay. 3 rows of 5 toes. That's like some type of hallucination for me. That's like some type of drug. That's like some type of I'm high. And like I said, going into the fifth and fourth dimensional talk, this is where people are talking about DMT. Everybody was going into the DMT stuff, which I told you, DMT's been around for a very long time. There's a natural way of releasing your DMT, as we talked about before, going into spiritual inclination that's connected to DMT, and you naturally have that in your brain. Okay, when you get a new idea, oh my God, aha, as Oprah said, the aha moment, that is a form of DMT. Your body naturally produces that. People are seeking it on the outside, and it's doing the exact opposite. It's actually making them to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. As I mentioned before, with spiritual practices of people doing candle work, energy work, and all the other good stuff that people are out here claiming to do. So that's just one example to say, when people are saying they're in the fourth dimension, I'm taking it as, girl, you're high on drugs. I'm taking it as there's some type of split reality. And this also is connected, in my opinion, to DID, not GID. DID, I think that a lot of people are disconnected with reality due to trauma that they had growing up. And they feel like a sense of kind of like superiority complex. Like, I've been through something, so I have to make myself seem like I'm better than. So I'm that high priestess. I'm that queen, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, honey, you're not there yet. Okay. So now we're going into the next thing that I have. It says, fourth dimensional beings. In the fourth dimension, there can be 2 dimensions of time, which means that a fourth dimensional creature would be, for instance, able to time travel and perhaps even exist immortally. So everybody who's claiming to be in the fourth and fifth dimension, once again, that means that, honey, you're able to travel back in time and pull energy. And we can even go into reincarnation, because I think it's safe to say that every spiritual person who are claiming to be spiritual inclined, okay, who is spiritually, gifted, could say that they believe in reincarnation. So you'll be able to basically go back in time, see what exactly is going on, go back and and even exit out of this life and vanish where nobody will ever even see you. Okay. And it even said perhaps even exist immortally. So you're going to be here forever. And I do feel like there are people that are stuck here, but we're not saying in the physical sense, like they've existed here for hundreds of thousands of years. We talked about this before. I think like the spirit of Tatuba, I think that energy has been on this plane for a very, very long time, and it's leading a lot of energies. And I feel like that energy has manifested in this reality as a white woman, as a black man, as a white man, as a Hispanic person, etc., etc., etc. I even think that they even manifested in this life as an enslaved individual. So like I said, I can go into all that good stuff, but I feel like that energy has always existed here. But if you're looking for Tituba, you're not going to see Tituba as they display her, but her essence is definitely immortal. So like I said, unless they're saying that we're all immortal, unless they're saying that we all are fourth dimensional beings, because I do believe that we're all interdimensional beings going into the consciousness, going into the realities, going into the chakras that we live in, that we exist in. That is what explains the dimensions to us, but you're not physically there. And like I said, that's where the spiritual confusion comes in at. And even like I said, the mental illness coming at. There's a lot of mentally ill people out there trying to lead people spiritually, and they're fucking people up. You have people out here that are getting high, that are getting drunk, that are going on platforms. I was just watching a platform the other day. A lady got on here. Mama was higher than a kite. Her eyes were glossy. Mama sitting here trying to speak knowledge, kept saying this stuff over and over. I am what I am. I see what I see. And I'm just like, girl, like, why are you embarrassing yourself, sis? Why? Okay. And then we're even going to click on fourth dimension powers. Fourth dimension powers concern the creation of social subjects with specific socially constructed ontological predepositions. As argued by Foucault, this concerns how social objects construct themselves as social objects in response to social context. So basically, I said that a motherfucker could copy another motherfucker. Okay, that's always existed, honey. That's always existed. Okay. And then if we're going into, like I said, the fifth dimension. Oh, going into the fifth dimension. Okay, it says that going into the fifth dimension. I was reading somewhere that said that fifth dimensional people are connected to unity, right? Fifth dimensional people. There we go. The fifth dimensional or fifth dimension is all about unity with everyone, everything, and higher power of God. As we talked about before, the heart space is the fourth dimension, and the throat chakra is the fifth dimension, when it's blue. Blue is a very royal color. Anybody knows about blue? It's royal. It's connected to the Jupiter energy, which is connected to Zeus. We're dealing with kingdomship. We're dealing with royalty. We're dealing with speaking your reality, saying what you want, and being that. There's a lot of people that are not leading by example, which I say that there's no way you're in a fifth dimension. And it just boggles my head, right? That people are into that. It even connects with the metaverse. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on and people are connected with the metaverse. And some of those people are still saying, I'm in the fourth, I'm in the fifth, I'm in the sixth dimension. But even if you look up the metaverse, which of course we could look up right now, okay? The metaverse, once again, is a network of 3D virtual worlds focused on social connection. So even going into the metaverse, you are still in the third dimension, but you are extending yourself into another realm. And like I said, girl, honey, it kind of reminds me of one of those movies where they were in a video game. I think it was Jumanji, and they had 3 times. They died the 3 times in the game that really died in real life. Like, honey, you're not superior to anyone. Whether you're in the fourth, fifth, wherever you think you're reigning at, you can still get it. So like I said, be vigilant, y'all. Stay focused on self. Use this time building up your own energy. Spend this time educating yourself. Go out there and take some class. Go out there and do your research on person, places, and things. Because a lot of people out here on some foolery. A lot of people out here making it seem like they are of the light, that they're bringing the light, and yet they don't know what the light is. Even going into, like I said on my live yesterday, going into, Whoopi Goldberg on the movie The Ghost. Mama was sitting here acting like she was a psychic and tarot reader and ripping people off, a medium. And when the ghost showed up, it scared the hell out of Mama. And I see this a lot of spiritual people. They're not getting any sleep, right? They feel so threatened by others, especially when they know you have power. If you're a weak person, you're not going to have haters. Everybody like me, ain't nobody come for you. You don't have to worry about that. But when you're gifted and you move with the light, because you're here to wake people up. Now people are coming for you. You're open target. And that's why I keep telling people, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of courage to be out here on these platforms doing light work. Everybody out here act like they're dark priestesses. Everybody out here act like they're kings and queens of Satan, because once again, they're traumatized. Lucifer, Satan, represents our old self. The darker side of me represents our older self, our lower self, the side of us that are still asleep. Coming into the light. And we don't have to say coming into the light of Christianity, coming into the light of anything, but coming into the light, coming into the higher self, connecting with the king and queen that you really are. The higher concept of who you are. Because if you are not, capable of being a king or a queen, then you wouldn't exist. Right? You fought through all of these things to be born. You could have been that piece or that spirit that never existed. You know what I mean? It could have been your story where, your daddy, threw you in the trash and your mama swallowed you. That type of thing. But you obviously exist. So everybody have that potential. But unfortunately, people are throwing it away. And I hope you guys get it together. I did so many past life readings on people. No shade to anybody. I did so many past life readings on people. And to see some people still kind of stuck in their old ways, knowing that in their past lives that they were spiritually powerful, knowing that in their past life that they existed and they had a bigger mission, to now come into this life to get that information and still want to be this basic bummy individual, it's sad. It's sad, and it's a waste of time, because you're going to come back down here. You don't like being in this situation where these men are treating you a certain way, these women are treating you a certain way. You like being in a situation where you're dealing with mommy and daddy issues and you're being treated like you're a second class citizen, but yet you have these tools to change it and you still don't want to. Like, it's sad. And like I said, you cannot make a horse drink. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. So I'm going to leave that with you all. The fourth and fifth dimension are extensions of the third dimension. You're just dealing with the higher concept of self. And like I said, going into the fourth dimension, you're still dealing with trauma. You're healing. You're dealing with the heart space. You're letting go of person, place, and things that do not serve you. And I always love when people say, you know, when I did therapy, and it's no shade to anybody, but I hear people say, when I went to therapy, when I had my therapy, my psychologist, like, this is an ongoing process. You're not going to take therapy for a year. You're not going to do spiritual work for a year and have a big change, and that's it. It is a ongoing process. If you dealt with trauma as a child, we're talking about from when you were first born, because it said that a lot of trauma happens the first 2 years of your life. If you are dealing with trauma from when you were first born or even in the uterus, and you dealt with this trauma past 7, like, you have a lot of work to do, and it is ongoing. It is forever, as long as you exist. There's no 1 year of session or 1 year of therapy, 2 years of therapy, 3 years of therapy. It is an everyday thing. And so I just want to encourage you to love yourself. And as I always say, love and light. Love brings the healing. Light brings the knowledge. Okay? Love and light, and namaste. 2aspiritmissy8@gmail.com, 2spiritmystic.blogspot.com. Bye for now.